Hello, Robin. It's so good to see you this week, and I'm hoping things are better with you. So let's talk about how your anxiety, or if you had any episodes this week, so we can help you deal with those.
Hey, it's so good to be here. Um, I did. As you know, it rained this week. So unfortunately, I had to drive to work.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was driving to work, it starts pouring. And
Mm,
I don't know. I don't know why I have a panic attack. I know I'm okay. But I can feel it coming and I just get super shaky. And when I get shaky, I can't even reach over to the controls on the dash right there to turn on the humidifier because it starts getting all foggy and then I can't see even more.
right.
I start hyperventilating and then
Mm,
I feel like I'm about to pass out, which is
mm.
not safe when you're driving.
No, it's not.
Totally dangerous.
Mm,
So yes, I had another panic attack and I don't really know why I started getting them again.
mm,
I don't know why I'm getting these panic attacks. And um, it's every time it rains. And I can't stop it. And I just don't like the way it makes me feel. But also, I just feel if it makes me feel very unsafe.
mhm, mhm,
And there's no controlling it at all. Um,
right.
so I don't like the way that feels, and I would really like to be able to just
Mhm,
not go from 0 to 100 when it rains every time.
right. Right. So I want us to talk about some ways that we can um, make the severity of those symptoms decrease for you. There's a technique we have called cognitive restructuring, where when we look at the situation, the negative things that it makes you feel, how powerless you are feeling. I want to show you and discuss with you some ways that we can strengthen not necessarily your battle to fight the anxiety, but to just make it smaller for you so that when these situations come up that you're familiar with, like the rain and driving. And here's the thing. These are genuine fears, but they are in control.
Mm,
And that's the part we want to approach, the feeling that you are helpless and the feelings are in control. Because it changes your whole body. It changes your heart rate. It changes your thought processes. You normally are a very in control person, and you handle issues well, and you handle emergencies well. And this is just another emergency that has come up in your life that we want to give you some power to overcome. So, when we look at restructuring, it lends itself to helping you see beyond that moment so that you can see the positive things that can come out of you being on the other side of that moment. So, you remember we've shared about breathing techniques when they come on. We've also talked about you may need to pull over
mm.
so that you can put yourself in perspective to what's really going on, and then look back at what even has caused you to see that the rain is in control when you're driving, that the things that are attached to it, unfortunately, they're genuine. People do have accidents when it rains. People don't pay attention when they're driving, and all kinds of things like that do happen. But for you, the fear is in control, and we want to remove the fear factor from you when these arenas present themselves. So what we want to do is practice you thinking about some things that make you happy in those moments, that can make you happy in those moments to help calm you down. And what do you think? Um, Once you feel it coming on, what can you think about, or what can you think on to help you kind of bring yourself back down a little bit before it gets to that point?
What can I think on?
Mhm.
I could probably think about my little boy. He just
Mhm.
makes me so happy. And if I
Okay.
just think about him laughing or how he sees life, like just
Yes.
thinking about his laughter, because I can just
Yes.
hear it naturally because he has
Yes.
so much.
Right.
Um, that could shift my focus
Yes.
and
Yes.
ground me some.
Yes. And that's important because you need to have a happy place, that when you feel overwhelmed, something can draw you back into the reality of what you need to feel for that moment and how you need to function. Because it's about your feelings being the catalyst for your behavior, and we want to change the feelings to participating in the behavior that you need at the moment.
Mhm.
And so I think that's a good place to start. I think that keeping those kind of happy thoughts, um, they may seem light to some people, but if he's such an important factor, that would help shift your thought pattern into, you know, going away from the negativity to the fact that you have peace. You can have peace and dwell in a place of reality. Because if you're not in any physical real danger at the moment, we want to keep you from causing danger
Mhm.
by being overwhelmed. And I really
Yes.
believe that that would help once you feel that blood rise and the
Mhm.
tightness and all the symptoms that you feel. Think about your son
Mhm.
and how much love he gives you, how much joy he gives you, and you can already tell it's working even now because that those memories are coming in of the joy that he brings to you. Um, so I think that would be a good thing to start doing is trying to stay and really stay in the moment that causes you to be able to restructure that attack.
Mhm.
Um, it's going to be a process. So you have to be patient with
Mhm.
yourself. It's so important that you're patient. We don't ever want you to feel like you failed. You didn't do this right because you had an attack. It's how we come out on the end of it and how they lessen the severity and the frequency. And that's what we're looking for. Okay. Um, so other than the rain, what brings on other attacks?
Um, Other attacks. The rain is really the worst one.
Okay.
But I also do. I get. I don't know that it's necessary. It's kind of a panic attack, but it's not as full of a
Yes.
panic
Mhm.
attack. Like the car
Mhm.
is obvious, full blown
Right,
panic
right, right,
attack.
right.
Like it's terrible. But I when I go into new places,
Hmm.
I I don't like it.
Gotcha.
I don't like it. I just feel very anxious
Hmm.
about going into
Hmm.
places I've never been before, which
Right.
is, like people go into places
Right,
I've
right.
been all the time. That's a normal
Hmm.
thing that happens. It's
Hmm.
not all places, but I guess maybe places that have more people in
Okay.
them than usual.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and if I'm just, I don't know, maybe it's
Are
because I'm
you
new to the area. I'm not
right,
sure.
right, right?
Um, but I just get a little anxious going into new
Okay,
places.
so let's dig a little deeper. What is your immediate um, feeling or emotion or thought pattern when you go into those places? What are you expecting the atmosphere to do to you that causes you to be anxious?
Um, Maybe it's because I feel like I'm alone there. Like
Ah, mhm,
I know people aren't watching me, but maybe I think that they are
mhm,
judging me or something like that. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I
mhm.
feel like I'm being judged whenever I'm going into new places.
Gotcha. So ultimately what I feel like I hear you're saying, your anxiety is based on your self-esteem because when we see how valuable we are to any arena we walk in, we don't have to be anxious. When we see that wherever we go, we are an asset to the atmosphere that we walk into, we have no reason to be anxious. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. So let's look at the fact that if they are looking at you, it's because they found some value.
Okay.
If you feel they're paying you more attention than they should, it's because you are more than you think of yourself. And there is a glow that may be coming from you that is drawing people to you and not repelling them as anxiety makes us feel. Because
Okay.
anxiety often makes us feel like we're not good enough and not appreciated, not valued. And that's the catastrophizing piece of it, that all or nothing, and the mind reading that goes with it.
Mhm.
We're reading people's minds and they haven't even introduced themselves to us or
Mhm.
even said anything. And we have created this whole scenario. So when those things come up, as you prepare to go into new places, um, start speaking to yourself about the value that you have and the importance that you have in this world. And
Mhm.
that will take away some of the angst that you're feeling as you walk into new places. No king or queen worries about what people think when they walk in a new place.
Good.
They don't, because they know they have value and they know they deserve to be heard. And you do. And that is the key for us, that we know we're valuable. And so when we walk in, we can change that mindset, that negative mindset, and understand that if they are looking, I have something to give, something to offer, and I have value. Okay?
Okay. I
So
love
what do you
that.
think?
Yeah. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that way. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so I can.
Yeah.
I can think that way. And
Mm-hmm.
even
It
if
is.
I,
Go
yeah,
ahead. I'm sorry.
even if I don't feel like I have something super valuable to bring to the table, because I have, issues with that. I know that I'm a child of God. So that
Exactly.
makes me special. And I can relate with that. Like I
Yes.
that
Yes.
is my jam. So I
Yes.
know that
Yes.
I am and I am special
Yes.
with
Yeah.
that. So
And that can really take down the need that we have to shrink back. You know, we might not see, since you were bringing up Christ, and really grateful that you opened that door so we can share those things, that he made us more than conquerors through Jesus Christ who loved us. And so this anxiety is just something else we can conquer with his help, and trusting in him. And I believe that since he's your source, you'll be able to see, as you see the value that he placed in you. When we understand the value that God places on us, then we see ourselves differently. And all the negativity that we feel as humans, and our self-esteem issues really dissipate in the aspect of the fact that he sees us as great. He sees us as wonderful. And he can see us. And he can really see us. So I think that that's a big one for us to celebrate, that once we start seeing the value that we have in him and his love for us, it really can strengthen our resolve when it comes to times when we feel like we are falling apart.
Mhm.
And when those anxiety attacks come on, we can remind ourselves of who he says we are
Mhm.
as well. So as we go forward, I want to talk about some things that I want us to start working on. Um, and that's doing some journaling. I think I know that when we go through anxiety attacks, it's hard to see sometimes what caused it. We just know it came. And I think that once you have a moment like that, we need to see if what factors are attached to them. Is it atmosphere? Is it we talked about the rain and driving. We talked about going into new places. And those are bigs. Those are bigs. But we also need to see what's leading up to and what has attached itself to those emotions and fears that have caused us to have these attacks. So I want you to spend some time journaling over the next week, so that you can see, should an attack come up, and especially if you don't have one. And here's the reason why I really want to stress the fact that if you don't have one on Monday, then let's see what happened that day. If you don't have one on Tuesday, let's see what happened that day. If you don't have one on Wednesday, let's see what happened that day. And so we come back on that next Friday to see if they did not come, what kind of day were you having? Was it just free of those stressful, of those triggers? Or was it that you were able to circumvent those emotions? Because we want to track the patterns so that we can see where we need to adjust and how we can help you grow from those things. Um, but it helps us just evaluate our feelings and emotions in the moment. Journaling and our thought records are so important because they really do help us see ourselves, and then we can go back and reflect on what was going on. So I think that those things will help us. How do you feel about that?
I like that.
Okay.
I'm kind of excited to see
Mhm.
why, what
Yes.
I'm attaching to it,
Yes, yes, yes. Yes.
and it gives me, you know, this is me taking control of it, like owning
Mhm.
it. And
Good.
so,
Yeah.
like, you've given me a lot to think about
Oh,
today,
good.
and
Good.
it's good
Mhm.
stuff. Like, I feel like I can do this. I can do the
Yes.
journaling. I can think about my kid.
Mhm.
I know that I'm a child of God. So
Yes.
I'm excited for, this is silly, but I'm kind of excited for the next one, or even
Yeah.
not the next one, because
Right.
we're going to be able to drill down on that and see,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
what is causing this? What
Yes.
are you
Yes. Yes.
attaching to it? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think that's good. So, as you work on that this week, I'll be praying for you, so that you can, get some clarity. I think that helps a lot when we know, what it is that started. Not always so much the why, but the what. That is
Mhm.
what is causing, not the why, because I think we confuse what and why. But we need to know what are the ingredients of this cake that
Yeah.
anxiety has made for us.
Mhm.
And once we get those ingredients down, I think that we'll find that we can get rid of those ingredients and not build the anxiety cake anymore.
I don't want that cake.
We don't want that cake.
Yeah.
We don't want that cake. Well, Miss Robin, I do appreciate you coming in today, and I really appreciate your time and your trust in me to share your life with me, and pray that we strengthen you and you are encouraged to live a much better life.
Oh, thank you
All
so
right.
much. I already feel so much better. Thank
Oh, thank
you.
you. I'm so glad.
Thank-
Onward and onward.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, my love. You're welcome.